Hello everybody, welcome to this unboxing, and in this one we're going to be tackling Battletech, a game of armoured combat. This is how you would describe a sort of a core box, a larger starter box. They do a beginner's box, which is just a couple of mechs, a few basic rules and some nice looking record sheets just to get you started. This would be the core set. So let's have a look at it. And you can see this beautiful artwork down here. I believe, I'm not going to attempt the name of that mech. I know it, but I'm not going to say it to get it wrong. Gorgeous art on the front. And let's just open the box and have a look very briefly at what we get. So first off here, we have a primer. So I'll move this to the side. The primer is basically a small booklet that gets you a very slight look at the universe. Gives you some of the major events. So we have the Star League, how long it existed for, the Succession Wars, the Clan Invasion, Civil War, the Jihad, the Dark Age, and then we go on to this map, which is the inner sphere with all the different houses and stuff, with Terra, where we are right now, right slap bang in the middle of it. So there's various different factions in here. We've got Comstar, House Merrick, House Steiner, House Liao from the Capellan Confederation, and just all of this stuff. There's a very deep universe to get into. We have a brief history on the Star League. We then go on to House Davion, House Kurita, Liao, Merrick. Just a very brief idea of what's going on there. House Steiner, and then here we have the mercenaries, which a lot of you guys that are familiar with video games will know about, because most of the video games are centered around the mercenary companies. We have a brief on what a battle mech is, what the mech warriors or who mech warriors are, and then we have a few of the book/rule sets. I personally have the battle mech manual, which is basically using battle mechs only in a game. We have Total Warfare, which introduces infantry, tanks, air support, that sort of stuff. Alpha Strike, which is more built for larger games. So if you want really big, like almost regimental size battles in this universe, you want to be going with like the Alpha Strike or the Total War kind of stuff. So that's the primer, very important. We also get a small novella, and the novella is just a short story that does a little bit, covers a little bit of combat, gives you a sense of flavor for what combat is like, maybe a little bit of the political intrigue in Battletech as well, because this universe has a lot of political intrigue, and we get a few pieces of artwork at the back just showing you a few vehicles and mechs. So all very nice. Now we are going to cover the miniatures in a minute, because they really are one of the standout features in this box set. But we have a pack of cards, which I believe are pilot cards, pilot or upgrade cards, I think. Haven't gone through this box too much myself yet. It only arrived in the post hours before I'm filming this. And yeah, let's have a look. So we got our different mechs in here. I can't even remember the name of that one. So these are the Alpha Strike cards, because this game, or this box set, will allow you to run fairly large things, a fairly large game. Then we have pilot specific with what mech they run, which again are all in the box. Plenty of stuff to go by, plenty of options for you there. So move them to the side as well. Now we're on to, I think at the very bottom here, we have a couple more pieces. We have the Game of Armoured Combat Rulebook. This is a more full version of Battletech's rules. So it has quite a lot in here, from introduction, playing a game, movement, combat, damage, line of sight, all that sort of stuff. 2 pages of that show us how to play. And the rules are pretty in-depth. They're not as in-depth as Total War would be, because we're mostly focusing on mech combat in this, along with the basic movement mechanics, weapon types, damage, that sort of thing. All these things that we get on our record sheets as well. So a good solid rulebook to get you started. On from there, we have our record sheets. Now the record sheets tell you everything about the mech that you're playing, or the mechs that you're playing. So you have damage locations. So this is the armor diagram up here. You punch through this stuff to get to this stuff. And there's various rolls, center, torso, head, you know, depending on where you're hitting on the mech. You have to roll to see what part of the mech is being hit when you're shot at. And all this is a set of sheets that cover every mech in this box, with maybe one or two variations in there. So there's usually a prime setup or a secondary setup, depending on what weapon systems you like, that sort of thing. And particularly here, we have the Wolverine. There's two versions of the Wolverine here. And so we have the WVR-6M and the WVR-6R. So they have different loadouts, different weapon systems and whatnot. Same with their catapults and such like that. So what you want to be doing with this book in particular is you want to be, when you go to play a game, you want to photocopy the mechs that you're playing as, and keep this nice and clean. There's also, from Catalyst Game Lab's website, there's also a PDF available for a huge variety of those. I managed to pick it up, I think it's $9, and it has 400 pages of mechs. So once you're past this, with this box set, and you're wanting to expand, maybe go ahead and pick the PDF up as well, just to check it out. They do a lot of the books and a lot of the record sheets in PDF form as well. So if you're finding stock issues or something like that, if it's paper, if it's a book, something like that, you should be able to get it as a PDF format as well. So that's not too bad. There's plenty of support there for you for that. Now, the next thing is the paper mat. Now, the paper mat is gorgeous. This is matted paper with all the hex numbers and symbols on it. The hills tell you what level of hill you're on. So if I go here, we'll see a level 1 hill. It goes up, goes level 2 with light cover in there, light cover down here as well, and that's representing of the terrain. This doesn't look like much, but I have seen plenty of the neoprene mats being used. But for a starter, this is absolutely great. I have another set which has like a hard, like an almost a board game thickness card version of this, which is probably what I'm going to be playing on the most for the time being. But these are lovely, beautiful, matte, and they're double-sided as well. So on one side we have forest, and on the other side we have a more of a sort of a deserty sort of coloration going on as well. Now it takes 2 of these sheets, I believe, to make up one mat, and there is a good selection of them in here. So there we go. So yeah, this would be the other half of the mat, which also has some water features on it as well. And on the desert side, there's a bit of an oasis in there too. So you're getting pretty much every terrain type, I think, apart from maybe built up areas, you know, cities and stuff like that. Then 2 more things to go through. So we have a cheat sheet, which helps you with how to manage your movement, weapons, hit location charts, attack modifiers, that sort of stuff. And this is printed on a bit more of a heavy gauge card, which makes it a bit more durable and a bit more sort of an essential you're going to hold on to. I think I now have a couple of these thanks to having also a copy of the Clan Invasion box. So we'll move that to the side, and we'll move these to the side for our last piece of paper content before we get on to the miniatures. This is great. This is a set of Standees on one, and then we have more terrain here. So if you want to add a bit of heavy woodland here, a couple of sub-levels here, a bit more hills, more water, that sort of thing, add that to the existing mat that you get in the box. And these Standees are replicas of every mech that you get in the box. So if you want to play a larger game, probably with the Alpha Strike cards that are available in the box as well, that allows you to play basically the equivalent of 2 box sets if you're wanting to use the Standees as well. So you have plenty of scope to enlarge the game before you start hunting for miniatures and other like lance boxes or clan boxes, that sort of stuff. So there is plenty to get stuck into. So we're going to put that away, and we're going to start to look at some miniatures. So the first one we're going to be looking at here is the Shadowhawk, and this is a lovely looking piece. This is obviously from Catalyst. This is their plastic offerings that they're giving with their last Kickstarter, which is for the Clan Invasion. Tons of this stuff is now hopefully getting out onto the market and becoming over time more available to everyone. And these are just great miniatures, all pre-assembled in the box, and they all come with their little area within the box. So that's our Shadowhawk. We then move up to our Catapult, which you guys will know as, you guys that are familiar with Battletech, this is an LRM boat, which is a long-range missile boat. Basically an MLRS on legs. You know, it's cool. It's stompy, it's got a few extra weapons, maybe a couple of machine guns or a couple of small lasers, that sort of thing, just to defend itself up close. But the real piece de resistance on the Catapult is these big box launchers for missiles. Moving on, we're going to hit you with a light mech now. This is the Commando. The Commando, from my experience in video games, is very small, very light, very fast. And from what gameplay I've seen of Battletech on the tabletop, it's basically just the same thing. It's light, fast, can't deal a lot of damage, but can help you out. Now, we get 2 lights in the box, and this one is the Locust. And a fantastic, again, very iconic mech to me. I've seen Locusts in nearly every game I've played, or a lot of the artwork that I've looked at. Great little mech. You can see the quality of the plastics is very good. Now, if you're going to be a heavy modeler, there are going to be areas that you're probably going to want to tidy up. You know, there's going to be a little bit of mold line, that sort of stuff. Quick run over with a file or a craft knife will sort you out with that. So our next one here is the, oh goodness, I can't remember the name of it now, sorry. But again, this is a bit of a heavier mech, more weapons, more lasers. It looks like possibly an AC, an autocannon, or maybe a PPC on the arm there. Load of lasers in the chest and missiles on the shoulder. Next up, we have the Wolverine. The Wolverine is one of the mechs from the beginner box as well. So if you have a beginner box and you buy this, you're getting another one. And from what I've heard, that's not a bad thing to have either. Wolverines seem to be quite a solid, I believe they're a medium tonnage mech, something like that. And yeah, another good one. Then go on to the Awesome. The Awesome is one of the, well, it's one of the older mechs that I know. I know it from the cartoon series from back in the 90s. And yeah, just another brutish heavy mech. I think he's actually an assault class. I cannot remember. I'd need to go back to the record sheet and check that. But another iconic older mech, and yeah, tons of guns on that, very heavy looking. Lastly, we have the Griffin. I believe that's called the Griffin. No, Battlemaster. Sorry. The Griffin, I think, was the one I couldn't name. This is another great looking mech. Big bubble canopy on there. Plenty of scope to paint some nice canopy sort of reflections, nice colored glass or whatever on there. Almost looking like it's carrying a pistol, which it basically is, except, you know, the pistol is the size of a modern tank. But all in all, the plastic miniatures are very good for being pre-built. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube for people that repose them and jig them around a little bit, and tons of painting tutorials out there, which I will hopefully be adding to at some point. I will be getting something painted out of this very soon under camera. So that is Battletech, a game of armored combat, basically your core box. This I would recommend. This would be your second stop. If you feel like getting into Battletech, go for the beginner box first, the one that has 2 mechs in it, gives you all the mechanics that you need to give you a real taste of the game. If you like that, go for this box next, expand your collection a little bit, expand the rules a touch as well, get more into the cycle of how standard Battletech plays. Then after that, you're looking at the likes of clan invasion boxes, and then from there, basically looking at lance boxes and stuff like that that Catalyst produce. So that is the first box of Battletech I have unboxed. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Please leave your comments down below, and I will see you again very soon.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.